Okay, in this video we're going to talk about motion blur and a little bit more about how you can handle with the overshoot issues and how to diagnose them. So here's this shot of the space shuttle, and as you can see there is a little bit of jumpiness there when the engines turn on, but we want to heighten that effect. We want to give it a little more impact. So I'm going to turn on this effect here. And this didn't start from a preset this time. I just used this jumpy camera motion. And it looks, it looks okay, I guess. But the motion blur is turned off. This is default turned on. If I turn it on, it already looks, the motion looks a lot smoother. Let's just analyze this quickly. So with motion blur turned off, everything is crisp. With motion blur turned on, the image is smeared in the direction that the motion is going. A lot of you are probably familiar with this already, so you don't need to watch this video if you understand all this stuff. But see this shutter factor? 0.5 is a 180-degree shutter, which is sort of a standard shutter. And when it goes lower, you can see that the amount of blur gets lesser, and if it goes higher, the amount of blur gets longer. So these are unnaturally long blurs. It's double, it's three, it's as if the shutter is open more than one frame time, which is impossible, but it gives you an effect. So here it is in motion. You can see those blur lines are more exaggerated. So let's go back to sort of our normal, and let's look at this particular shot. I guess it's okay. Maybe let's animate it. Let's do that. So let's assume that we want the intensity to be much lower at the beginning. So we'll turn this, way down to, I don't know, even less. Yeah, something like that. If you want it to be faster, let's look. Yeah, faster looks pretty cool. Let's start it here. So let's look at where the burners turn on. So right around there. So let's make our speed and intensity like this here, and then the burners turn on, and over a few frames we'll increase the speed and we'll greatly increase the intensity. Let's see what that looks like. That's kind of cool. This is probably a little much. Let's increase our motion blur. That's pretty cool. Okay, well, our second keyframe for the intensity is a little too large. So let's go back here and change this back to like that. Let's see how that looks. Okay, let's say we like that. It's probably still a little too much. Let's turn it down just a little bit. Okay, one more look. All right, now we may be shooting off frame. It kind of looks okay for the most part, even when it's intense, because the motion blur is so large. Oh, let's turn our shutter back to nominal. Let's see what that looks like. But let's examine our overshoot. So I'll go to this miscellaneous and show overshoot, and let's see what we get. We got a couple of red blinking frames there. So those are our little problem children. Let's look at them more closely. Let's find them. Okay, so this is barely overshooting. So there's just a little tiny cyan line up here. So it's easy to get rid of just by increasing the scale just a little bit. See? Increase the scale just a little bit. And will that fix it for us? Oh, we still have another one, so we gotta go a little. Where is it? There it is. Well, we can probably actually use our offset, because they were both at the top. So let's push our image up a little bit. Let's see if that cures it. So you can see sometimes it's pushing things around, and sometimes it's changing the image scale. You want to keep the image scale as close to 1 as you can, but sometimes you can't. Okay, well, that seems to have fixed it. So there you have it. You know what? There's no rotation. Let's add some rotation. Well, it's more interesting, but it gives us some more problems. Because when we rotate, and our speed is just too fast. Well, let's lower the speed a little bit here. Let's see what that looks like. And our intensity is too high. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, adding the rotation definitely improved it. Okay, so let's fix our overshoot problems. Look how tiny this little overshoot is. So this is negligible, and the mirroring is probably, see, we have it set to mirror. You can have it set to stretch or black. So there's a little itty bitty bit of blackness there, but I think in this case, mirror is fine. So I don't even think that this bit of overshoot here is meaningful. So let's find another one. Sort of similar. I don't think that's meaningful either, so I'm going to let that slide. All right, that's everything. So there's a way to to add motion blur. Oh, let's see. Let's add the shutter factor a little bigger. Oh, it looks good in this case. Yeah, I think that's working for this particular scenario.